Hello, my name is Robert, and I will be making this video to share my experience
After a quarter of a mile, keep right to join the I-66 east towards Washington.
with Vipassana meditation.
Now keep right to join the highway.
So, I found this meditation course on YouTube
After a quarter of a mile, join the highway.
because I watch a lot of guided meditation, sleep meditation to calm my mind, to try to find more of a existential purpose or meaning
Now
to
join
life.
the highway.
And I can go back and get into all the details about how I found it and signing up, but I
Follow
want
the
to
highway.
discuss my experience with it, though short it was, while it's fresh in my mind. So,
Follow the highway.
day one, I come, it's a Wednesday. I get there at 2 o'clock. The entry time is from 2 to 5 p.m. I park, I have all my bags packed to go inside. They give me a room. Shortly after, other people start trickling in. There's two to every room. And this retreat happened to be in a person's home. A very large, beautiful home, maybe 15 rooms. Typically they're inside of like compounds or like multi-purpose buildings, but this was in someone's home. So day one, in the evening around 8 o'clock, you do a meditation where you sit. The guy Goenka comes on and he speaks about how to meditate. You do that for an hour. You find a position that's best for you. They don't explain that, but it's kind of obvious with all of the pads on the floor that you kneel or you cross your legs. So we meditate for an hour. We go to bed. In the morning, there's breakfast. All of the meals that we had were vegan. And
Now keep left.
you start off 4 o'clock in the morning.
After a quarter of a mile, use the left lane
Go
and keep left
to
towards
the hall,
I-66.
which happened to be in this person's, we'll call it a basement because that's what it was. But so like I said, it's a lovely home.
Now keep
so
left.
all the rooms just feel, luxurious. Meditate from 4:30 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. At 6:30, you
Follow
have
the
breakfast
highway.
for an hour, and then you take a break for an hour. So at 8 o'clock, you go back to meditate from 8 to 9. And then from 9 to 10, you also can meditate either in the hall or in your room. Then at 11 o'clock, you have lunch. 11 to 12, and then 12 to 1, you have a break. And then from 1 to 2:30, you have meditation in your room or in the hall. From 2:30 to 3:30, you have meditation in the hall with the group. From 3:30 to 5, you have two different meditation sessions in the group or by yourself. And then 5 o'clock, you have dinner, but there's no dinner. There's just tea with a piece of fruit, maybe. And then after dinner, 5 to 6, you go back down at 7 to meditate. 7 to 8. At 8 o'clock, they put on a discourse video, which is Goenka talking about what each day is going to be about, or your next day is going to be focused on. And then you meditate again from 8 to 9. 9 o'clock, you retire to your rooms for bed. That's the schedule every single day. So just for clarification, today was my day 4. I made it to the end of my day 4 and I left. So the first day, it was a little bit of a shock. I got to leave all my worldly behaviors behind, on being on my phone and interacting with people, watching TV, having a free schedule, sleeping when I want, doing what I want, to being on a strict schedule, being on a vegan diet, and sitting cross-legged for at least 10, 12 hours a day. In the beginning, it felt great. It felt really wonderful to acknowledge that I can separate from my device, acknowledge that I don't need to do anything of the world that I've been doing previously that I felt that I could never break away from. So by day 2, at the evening hours, I remember while I was meditating, I shed a tear. It's a single tear. I was in deep thought. The goal is to focus on feeling your breath, to breathe in and breathe out. And while you try to focus on this breathing, you'll notice that your mind always goes other places. Oh, did I lock the door? Oh, I wonder how my mom is doing. Oh, I made such and such upset. And you've been trained to bring yourself back to your respiration, natural respiration. And each discourse video, he just repeats how universal of a principle that this is, that it's not sectarian, that it's not religious at all, because this is just about the human experience, about what it feels like to breathe and understanding what your body is doing, recognizing how what is happening inside of you directly translates to what you do or what's happening outside of you. I'm getting there, okay? Just let me get this story going. So I shed a tear, and we had a short meeting with the teacher where there's like 3 or 4 students sit in front of the teacher, and he'll say, well, how was your meditation today? Did you feel a tingling sensation in your nose while you were breathing? Did you get distracted? You might say, yeah, I did. He said, well, focus on your breathing. He says the same thing to everybody. We go back to our breathing, and he sends us back to meditate. So I remember thinking, well, that's gratifying. Like, my body is purging itself, essentially, of feelings that it doesn't need to have. This is the presentation that it gives. So, day 2, I shed the tear. Day 3, which was yesterday, again, same routine, waking up. There's so much more to the story that it's just almost impossible to share. But I'll share more at the end when I get to my main point. Day 3, I remember my confidence was building. I started to be able to sit longer without having aches and pains. And when I did have the aches and pains, I was able to focus on my breathing so much so that I ignored the aches and pains. Each beginning of the meditation session, the teacher would put on Goenka's voice. He would do a short 10, 15 second chanting. And then you would begin meditation for an hour, take a break, back to the schedule. I remember having so much confidence and purity at the end of those days. So, day 4 today. After you do what's called Anapana, those first few days, today was Vipassana day, where you begin the next part of the meditation. So Anapana is
After
only
a quarter of a mile, keep left to join the Virginia 243 north towards Vienna.
That's within your nose and within the top of your lip. And Vipassana is...
Now keep left to join the highway.
Vipassana is spreading this awareness,
After
this
3
focus
quarters
that
of a
you've
mile,
developed.
join the highway.
This focus that you've developed for 3 days on how to distract your mind from whatever thoughts you were having to this point on the bridge of your nose, to placing that attention to the top of your head and essentially doing a full body scan. You start the scalp, Then you go to the face. Then you go to the throat.
After a
Then you
quarter
go
of a mile, join
down
the
each
highway.
arm. Then you go to your chest, your abdomen. Then you go to your back, your lower abdomen, trunk area. Then you go to your waist and hips. Then you go to your thighs, on each leg, down to the knee, down to the
Now join the highway.
calf muscle, down to the foot and the toes, and do that on both sides.
After
So as he was
1.5
explaining
miles,
it, it
keep
just
left to
sounded
take the
okay.
exit.
It makes sense, right? Well, mind you, this explanation of how to do Vipassana had not been explained previously. All the days previously, you were only trained to focus on your breath. On the day of Vipassana, which was in the evening of this day, because in the morning we had been focusing on just the breath, he comes on to do his chanting, but the chanting is very different. The chanting, it sounded so much more serious. It was certainly 5 times as long. The chanting probably was 5 minutes long versus just the 30 seconds that I've been experiencing every day previously. And then he starts to tell you how to do Vipassana. He said, take the very awareness feeling that you have on the upper lip and take it to the above the head. And like as I explained before, how to do the body scan. So because I had been so devoted the previous days, and who knows what else groomed me for this process, maybe the sleeping schedule, maybe the diet of being vegan, maybe
After half a
not
mile,
having
keep left to take the
distractions,
exit.
that I was able to focus. To make my point clear, I felt like we were being turned into sacrifices. We were being turned into sacrifices. What's interesting is that Goenka is supposed to be the teacher
After 900 feet,
that
use
followed
the left lane
Buddha.
to take
There were
the exit
teachers
towards
before Buddha. Buddha is not his
I-495.
name. That's
Now
just
keep
what
left to take the exit.
Buddha is what you become when you become enlightened. Buddha has a name. I was supposed to take that exit. It's all right. So,
After 1.5 miles, keep right to take the exit.
I'm going to explain what happened to me during the Vipassana. And before I explain that, 50% of the people might say, this is part of the process to becoming aware. This is you becoming aware of the feelings in your body, becoming aware of the, patterns, the habit, mind, and body patterns that you developed over the years. And then the other part was you were being taken over by an evil spirit, by witchcraft, by a demon, by Buddha, by whatever spirit energy that this was. So I began the meditation. Focus on the breathing, put the attention on the top of my head, and I did. I felt the sensation at the top of my head.
After
that felt
a quarter
maybe
of a mile,
1 inch
keep right to
large.
take exit 66 towards Virginia 7 and then keep
how
right.
to expand that circle of feeling. He explained to go down the face. He explained, and mind you, like I said, the days prior when I had
Pike.
knee pains or back pains or
right
aches
and then
from
keep left
sitting
onto
too
Leesburg
long,
Pike. Now keep left.
I would be able to put my focus of breathing back on my breathing, and the pain would subside. I wouldn't focus on the pain so much. And granted, this is only a few days, so
keep left to
it's
join
a
the
process.
I-66.
This time, as he was explaining how to go deeper in Vipassana, the pains on my body
now keep
began
left to join the highway.
Intensify, and in places that they had not before. The backs of my shoulder blades,
After
my
a quarter of a
knees,
mile,
there was a
join the
kink in my
highway.
back. And as I did the body scan, it just became deeper and harder and harder. And he said, you're not supposed to move.
Now join the highway.
If you feel the urge to move, please don't move. Move very suddenly if you have to, but this
After
will mess up the
1.5 miles,
focus and
keep
the
right
attention.
to take the exit.
Basically, I feel like this was their first and main attempt to sacrifice you for this energy to enter you. And I remember when I got close to my waist, my abdomen, the pain became so almost unbearable. I knew I could sit through it, but I thought, why? This is only day 4. I'm sure there's more time to do it. I'm not going to. So I stretched one of my legs out, and I tried to stay in the meditation, but I felt it weaning away, of course. And I ended up stretching the other leg out. Mind you, we were only... What is happening? We were only 30 minutes in, so there was still another hour left for this Vipassana, because they're an hour and a half long, these sessions. So, when I broke out of the trance feeling, just want to make sure I'm not missing this exit.
After a quarter of a mile, keep right to take exit 69 towards US 29.
When I broke out of the trance feeling, I remember thinking, well, I don't want to disturb anyone else in the room. I don't want to make anybody else come out of their, efforts that they put in all these days. And
now keep right to take the exit.
I went the wrong way, basically. I have to turn around.
After 1,000 feet, use the left 2 lanes and turn
right.
left towards I-66 West, and then use the left lane and turn left.
I said, that was
now turn
unlike
left
all
and
the
then
rest.
turn
Just
left
like
at the next traffic light towards I-66 West.
Just like his chanting was different than all the rest of the days, that pain and that feeling was different than all the rest of the days that I experienced. So I started to smile. I started to look around to see what everyone else is doing. And it was so interesting that all the students that had difficulty focusing and getting into
After
position,
800 feet, keep left
staying
to join
in
the
position,
I-66 West.
they were doing it effortlessly. When I looked around, the room was entirely silent.
Now keep left to join the highway.
The room was overcome by this desire to achieve this Vipassana, the whole reason why we all
After a quarter of a mile, join the highway.
Find consciousness or enlightenment or whatever. The people that were struggling the most were doing well, as if they were being taken over, or they were in this trance, or I can't speak on anyone's experience but my own.
After 1 mile, keep right to take the exit.
So, in the days prior, if anyone was to get up in the middle of meditation, the teacher's assistant would get up and challenge them, say, is everything okay? You have to stay in the meditation hall until the meditation's complete, and they would come back and sit down. When I left out, nobody followed me. He did not dare follow me out of there. I think they knew the gig is up. He's clearly not
After a quarter of a mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 67 towards Virginia 267 West, Baltimore, I-495.
They acted the way they did differently when I got up versus, maybe they'll blame it on the ceremony or
now keep right.
It was almost over. I don't know. I went straight upstairs. I packed my things. You're supposed to turn in your keys and your
phone. After 2 miles, keep right.
And I waited for the people to come upstairs to get my key and phone. So, of course, they wanted to have a talk with me before I left. What's wrong? And I wanted to keep it short. And I said, well, why? It's just not for me. And they said, well, I understand you were doing so well. And my mind says, yeah, I was doing so well, serving myself up as a perfect lamb for whatever your agenda that I don't know. What I didn't like about the chanting was the days prior, the chanting, he would explain what this word and what that word meant. It was from old Indian language, not the new. And he would explain what this word meant, what that word meant. But in this new chanting, there was just like he was summoning, like he was asking someone specific. Are you ready? They're ready for you. Here you go. And I could go on and on. But the last thing I wanted to mention was, if you didn't succeed in the first day of Vipassana, then he would say you have 5 more days to show your determination.
After 3/4
to show
of the
your
mile, keep right.
like Valhalla, like witness me, like how hard can you go? If you didn't get it the first day, of course you think you're supposed to endure and keep trying until you get there. And I wasn't having it. That feeling that I felt, something just didn't feel right. And
after a quarter of a mile, use the right 2 lanes to continue on the Virginia 267 West.
I trust my
towards
intuition.
I-495.
My intuition brought me here. There was a lot of skepticism. There was a lot of fear before I began. When I turned myself in and they asked me for my key, I was hesitant to give him my key. All my intuitions were like, I don't know.
After 3/4 of a mile, keep right to take the exit.
19. So there was a roommate that I had. His name was, we're going to leave him anonymous in case I decide to post this video. And
after a quarter of a mile, use the right lane to take exit 18 towards I-495 North, Baltimore.
What is this? So my roommate, he was an older man, 63, and he had aches and pains in his back from all these knee and surgeries that he had through life and car accidents. And
now keep right.
He wouldn't sleep well, and he would snore, and he would toss and turn, and he would wake up crying,
follow the highway,
or talking in his sleep. And the first night, I was like, all right, I can sleep through it. I'm tired. The second night, he woke me up several times with his pains. And then the third night, I didn't sleep at all. And I don't know if I could blame that on him or whatever energy was going on in that house. So I decided to sleep in the hallway. I woke up in the morning. He was a little upset about it, but we didn't speak because we're not allowed to talk through this whole thing. And he loved to talk. He was so expressive. Not that I minded it, but he was definitely the most expressive person I'd interacted in my time there. So he felt bad that he saw me sleeping in the hallway. So he came to the instructor, and he told him what happened. And the instructor put out ear protection, like to plug your ears. And then he offered me to stay in a different room, which I was kind of open to, but I was like, I don't want to get to know all these new people when I only have one roommate here and I already got to know him. So I said, it's cool. So when him and I got alone, we broke the noble silence. We spoke to each other. I said, I want you to understand, I'm not leaving anywhere. I appreciate you taking the step to express that to the teacher. And he started to cry. He said, I didn't want you to feel that way, brother. I'm sorry if I made you feel or disturbed you. I should be the one sleeping in the hallway, not you. And I was just very empathetic to his situation, him being an older man, his accidents and injuries that he had, and some other things that, again, I'll leave those things private for the sake of him. And I gotta let one go. So, my intuition. So, he come from Georgia. I don't know. Long story short, even though it's been quite a long story, something just didn't seem right, as in R-I-T-E. It just seemed very, and I was hoping that it was going to be as advertised, but that's exactly how you get people in. Anything that's free, you're usually the product. The phones, how the apps are free, they're selling you as them saying, this is how many people we can garner here. YouTube, Facebook, If you're using something that's free, you are the product. I wouldn't even go as far as saying try Vipassana for the first 3 days. I wouldn't go as far as saying it's some preparation that you have to do before you go. I would go as far as saying that it's dangerous. that use your mind and intuition. If you do decide to go, be mindful of what you're being told to do. Be mindful of what's being said around you. Be mindful of what you're consuming. Be mindful about the surroundings and the atmosphere. Be mindful about where you are, how far away from things you are. Be mindful about who knows where you are. And I don't want to just straight up say this is evil, this is that. It's not of God. It's not of Christ. So anything that has all these, her house has statues galore. I mean, each mantelpiece, 10 different statues. The Indians with the 10 different arms, holding a spear, holding this, and galore. And maybe it was free and being done in this woman's house, and she could get her right to Valhalla by offering her home to help make sacrifices to Buddha. Just beware, people. I'm okay. I feel okay. I'm driving home. I hope that I escaped in time. And if it was nothing wrong, so be it. I'm still okay. I'm still headed home. I missed out on the experience. What I had gained from it, I feel like, was very useful. I'm nervous to even try again to do that meditation, because perhaps the gateway is still open and I can still be claimed. I'm a little just put off by it. Even in my questioning afterwards, when I told them I didn't really want to speak, it's not for me, I felt like they were talking in parables or talking in like code, like, don't do yoga and Vipassana at the same time, because it's like riding two horses, and that's dangerous. When the horses separate, it's dangerous. You'll get hurt. It's almost like riding two boats at one time, and one leg in one boat, one leg in the other boat. Again, just say what you're really trying to say. Why are you saying it in parables? You're saying that if you go on this spiritual journey, but you're holding on to Christ or you're holding on to something else, that you'll be split into two. And that's useless to us or useless to him. Like, just say what you're really trying to say and don't talk like that. And every question that I had, why are you wearing a robe all of a sudden today, when all the rest of the days you wore a regular button-up shirt and some fucking pants? Now all of a sudden you got this garb on, Oh, one last detail that I thought was insanely hilarious. On the day of the Vipassana, when I decided to chuckle and open my eyes, the woman that volunteered her home for our session started to look around, gaze around the room as if she was looking for someone going through a particular type of experience. Again, my assumption, me just looking around, I don't know. She was looking around like, is it happening? Is anyone stuck? Is anyone captured? Did I get in there? They made me a promise. They made me a promise that if I bring these people in my home and I feed them, that the sacrifice will be made. Again, I'm assuming. But she was looking around the room, her wispy little Indian hair, like...
After a quarter of a mile, use the right 3 lanes and keep right.
Black people!
For 95.
We need to create our own thing. Every culture of a people has a land that they can run to, and every culture of people has religion, has cultural things that they do that help them belong. I ended up at this place because black people don't have anything that we belong to. We're all divided and separated in the sake of religion. Some of us are Muslim, some of us are Christian, some of us are Catholic, some of us are Jews. We don't have a place to go to. Africans don't accept us. We don't look like Haitians. We don't look like, so black Americans, we need to come together and stick together. We need to. We need to come up with our own cultural dances. We need to come up with that. And I'm all for Jesus Christ. I'm all for God. But one must also be curious and wonder why he's painted white. Why do we just paint him black and say that it's ours? Why don't we have our own understanding of what spirituality is? Many people argue all the religions are really the same, just in different interpretations of them all. So why don't we have our own? Why don't we have our own nation that we can run to, that can defend us? Protect yourselves, protect your children, and use your intuition. Thank you.